just take a second here and play from here. I trust that's coming up okay. So, you know, there's our list of celebrities already. And so we're going to have a great celebrity next week, Nick Waldner. And he's a 500 unit transaction machine. He's been in real estate 17 years. He's going to be on next Tuesday, July 21st, which is my birthday, 1 o'clock. And that'll be our celebrity role play next week. So make sure you have that on your calendar because that'll be super awesome. Couple things that have come up, and again, we can go in any direction you want. However, I'm just going to be give honor to the people that sent me some feedback. And some people, this is a copy, a screenshot of somebody that sent me a question. Let me get my screen out of the way here. Pricing the C19 market, and we talked about that a couple different times. How to educate buyers on current market stats. I think there's a lot of people getting a little bit excited about the market and, you know, super low inventory. And I know you guys are coming from different locations, and I trust you're probably seeing that type of market right now. And so what I wanted to do is just take a second and give you my 2 cents on it. Like, how's your market? People are going to be asking you. And so this is what I think is going on generally. Let me just give you like 2 minutes worth. And then I'd like to hear from you if you have any questions about what's going on in your market, because there's a method to my madness. The headlines have still been negative. However, they're about ready to turn positive. Lowest home sales since 2010. Why? Because that's May's closings. May closings was April's pending. So we get that. The media doesn't get that. And sellers don't want to believe it, and buyers want to take it and, you know, and blow it up and have their car wrapped with that type of negative news because they'll think to help them get a better price. And so that was last week. And then this came out on July 6th, just a few days ago, talking about May home sales down almost 10%. There was an article already published about June's pending sales, up significantly. So what's going to happen now in the marketplace? And I believe in most markets, I don't know, California and, you know, and some of the other states are kind of, I don't know, they may be a little slow to react. However, there's already been a positive headline about June's pending sales, and now that's going to basically start a series of positive headlines. Now, already most markets, including ours, are seeing a tremendous rush of buyers back into the market and an extreme shortage of inventory. So you guys just shout out where you are for the benefit of the people on the call here. I'm in Boise, and do you agree or disagree? So just take a few seconds if you want to do that. It's hard for me to see chat. It's hard for me to see chat in screen sharing mode. So just unmute yourself a second and tell me what you guys see.
Phoenix, Arizona, still really low inventory.
All right, awesome, thank you.
Kansas City, Kansas, and Missouri, 45.5% below this time last year.
Wow, got it.
Tucson, Arizona, low inventory.
Yeah, good. Anybody else?
Prescott, Arizona, very low inventory.
You get a lot of traffic though. All right.
Yes, we do.
Love Prescott. If you haven't been there, you got to go there. It looks like the set when you go downtown Prescott. It looks like the set from Back to the Future. Anybody else? So I think that's pretty unanimous, right? So here's the thing. I have a new class I'm developing, and I'm going into market centers to promote this to any market center that wants to hear it. I might have talked about some of these concepts before. However, it ties in with the questions I've been getting from you guys. And so when I was in Gary's mastermind a couple of weeks ago, the first thing he said, guys, inventory is low. All right, so he's saying what we already say. Now is the time to get sellers back into the market. And it kind of hit me. It's like, okay, I get that. And so when Gary's making that, and he's going to talk for several hours to the platinum group of his top 100, and that's how he leads, it must be pretty important. And the significance of that comment means rather than just lead generating for sellers, as a lot of us do or should do, calling buy owners or calling expireds, specifically, strategically coaxing people back in the market. Because, you know, it basically, here's let's just reverse the analogy. Going back to whatever year the Titanic would sink, you know, I know that I'm mixing metaphors here. However, if you were able to go back in time and had a flux capacitor and were able to go and get people off the Titanic before it set sail, you would be a hero. Likewise, kind of in a reverse scenario, like I said, if you could get sellers into the market right now, because they decided to wait. Now, I'm not saying people thought, well, I'm going to be here for 20 years. I'll just step in. No, I'm talking about, actually, I think I've got a slide here. I'm talking about getting sellers off the fence and what I call shadow sellers. Now, I know many of you have been in real estate long enough to remember the bubble and it burst, and then it always said there's a shadow inventory out there. Well, the shadow sellers, as I'm defining, as sellers that probably maybe we're going to put their home on the market, had their home on the market, you know, in March, February, April, whatever, and decided to go off. That's the easy ones. However, probably there's people out there that probably would have been 12 to 18 months away from making that decision to move. And now may be the time to move them up. And I can tell you, depending on where they are and what their lifestyle is, if they still have kids in school and employment, that may be a little more complex. However, there's another trend, which I talked about on my TV spot on Friday, is that the urban areas, there's a major exodus from urban areas right now into suburban areas. Have you read that, heard that? Do you feel that? I know Tucson, Phoenix, you're probably getting those people from California, et cetera. We're getting a lot of people from the Midwest coming down here, particularly from the bigger cities. So I think we can have a conversation around how do we go and get these, the shadow sellers, because what's that dialer called? Vulcan, or what's the other one? I can't think of it right now. You can, you know, they give you for sale by owners, et cetera. You can't buy a subscription list for shadow sellers. However, there's ways to get them. Now, I'm going to start by you making a list of the message of the moment for sellers and why. I have 7 reasons why. You can take notes on this, take a screenshot. Don't wait till I get all 7 up there. You can take a screenshot. And if you need a copy of the slide, I can make it available to you. There's 7 reasons why you want to get people off the Titanic, or basically reverse it into the market. Number 1, we just talked about low inventory. That's an advantage to the seller. Number 2, upward pressure on prices. I mean, I heard, because I'm reached out to 30 different market centers across the country with the class on how to get sellers into the market. They're seeing listings with 8 or 10 offers on it. Now, we can have the discussion if you want to, because this is our Zoom class and we can talk about it on Thursday. However, it doesn't make any sense to me. If you're in a market where you're having 8 or 10 offers, why don't you just raise the price instead of getting into the bidding war? Because you're underpricing it when you have that kind of activity. It's just kind of crazy. And I don't know what your thoughts are on that. However, that would be, I would like to raise the price until I maybe only had 1 or 2. 8 or 10, you're too low. So clearly there's upward pressure on price. Number 3, less competition says sellers leave the market. As much as we believe that number 1, sellers should be in the market, there's a lot of agents out there that don't have the same mindset. They think it's, you know, not a good time, or they agree with the sellers and come off the market. So as those people come off, it's better for the current sellers. Number 4, the buyers in the market will be more serious. There's no question about it. And let me just tell you my 2 cents worth. And Faye, you can pop in here because you've got as much real estate experience as I do, and you're talking to people all over the country. This market's not being driven by low interest rates. I mean, low interest rates are good, and lifetime low interest rates are even better. However, I don't think that's the thing that's driving the market. It's not hurting it. What's your 2 cents on that, Faye?
Well, I agree with you. It's not the end all and be all, but there's a lot of fear with buyers around not being prepared to take advantage for something that's on the market. And because they do know that they're going to be facing, or most of them do, facing multiple offers, etc., they are more serious about making sure they've got their money in order, their financing in order, whatever it is they need to do, they're ready to go.
I agree with that. And here's the thing, and I've got to think number 7, maybe low interest rate. So it is a factor. Here's the thing, you guys, I really think if you're spending a lot of time watching news, regardless of what news station you're watching, I would probably have you cut it back a little bit, because there's still a lot of people who believe in our economy, believe in our country, and people want a piece of this. And here's the thing that I've learned in my 36 years of real estate is that buyers move into the market in an upward moving market. They pull back in a downward moving market. So anytime the market's moving up, which seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? I mean, homes are worth more money every day. They're stepping in. because if the market's going the other way, and many of us have lived through that, they actually wait because they want to time the bottom. Number 5, spike in buyer activity. Again, we just talked about that. That is an advantage seller. Number 6, record low interest rates. And number 7, of course, the window is open now, and that may change. And that's the thing that Gary Keller said. Now is the time when the window's open, because he believes, number 1, there's pent up demand for buyers because they've been locked out from COVID, etc. So they're rushing in like air out of a balloon. It will equalize at some point in time. He also made an interesting point, is the velocity of the market, meaning all these offers are basically, the market is being overstated by, it's not as hot as we think it is. It's hot. It seems hot because there's 10 offers in one house. Well, the challenge is there's no inventory. If inventory, like somebody just mentioned, I think in, I forget where you said, Kansas City, or I'm sorry, I didn't remember, down 40-some%. Well, if your inventory was the same, the market would not appear to be as active as it is. So Gary says that the window is open now. How long it's going to be open, I don't know. Again, watch the news. I'm in Florida. Florida's pretty red right now, and we're having a lot of COVID cases. California, I guess, just shut down, is not going to have school. So the window is open now. How long it's going to last, who knows? So I actually believe probably we've had a seller's market for 10 years, and people were doing awesome in January and February. I think sellers can do equally as well as January or February. Now, this is important, you guys, because we didn't know what was going to happen. They can do equally as well as January, February, if not better. Is there any guarantee that that's going to continue, or if they want to wait until next January, February? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. So for someone who wanted to ask the question about how to explain the market, that's how I would explain the market. Does anyone have any input on that thus far, so we can get into some scripts on how and some strategies of how to get shadow sellers off the fence and into the market? I'll just stop sharing here for a second so I can see you. Hey, Ginger. No comments? Okay, let's look here. I can see now the chat. Good morning. Hi, Denny. Doing great in Boise. I love Boise. Buy a truck, get a gun. Yeah, okay. 40, Reno. Yes, Reno. Your hot market's really hot. Okay, so no comments. So let's go back to share, screen share. Case in point, somebody from Arizona, Tucson's probably the same. This was sent by a team leader in actually Tempe. And just to highlight it, there's somebody who's tracking their numbers. You can see, I highlighted the price range of 200 to 500, which is a sweet spot for most markets probably you're in, unless you're in Southern California or maybe a market that could be higher. And this echoes the comment earlier about you being down in inventory. I think you said in Boise, 43%, 28, 22, 26%. This is evidence that it's an awesome time to get sellers in the market. So I think by now you probably know. So the second common request came in, they wanted me to cover is, okay, we got it, Denny. Now, how do you talk to your past clients, centers of influence, neighbors and friends right now that there has never been a better time to be a buyer or seller? Now, what's interesting about that is, and we can talk about it because I've got a couple sample buyer and seller scripts. It seems a little bit counterintuitive that it's a great market for a seller and it's a great market for a buyer. That's like, it's a great, well, the Bucks won and the Patriots lost, so it's a great game for both of them. You know, it kind of seems kind of funny. However, it can be. So I want to share something with you, and I don't think I've ever shared it with this group. I've shared this around the country, is this. Everyone has a group of people, and I'm going to put your database and your sphere into two groups. I'm going to call one of them shiny, the other one rusty, okay? So I want to talk about how to get the rust off. The shiny people are the ones you're in flow with. You just had a transaction with them. You're talking all the time. You may play racquetball, and there's no problem with the level of communication. All the gears are grooving, and everything's efficient and looks good. However, has anyone ever been in a relationship now with somebody in your phone, in your database, past customer or referral source, that your relationship has got to looking kind of like that. Anyone want to admit that? And what happens is after you close, everyone's grooving, then you have every intention of being like, you know, like you're going to say your prayers every night, just like your grandmother asked you to do it. However, days go by, weeks go by, months go by, years go by. I've been in this long enough to know that decades can go by. Your gears get a little rusty. The longer it goes, the harder it gets. And what do? It's like pins and needles into us. However, we're afraid to make the call. Is anyone willing to say, you can put your thumbs up or whatever, you have people in your database that you wish you were closer to? And even everyone in your database, they don't all have the same value. They do as people, they don't as production. Take your top 20%. And I know that basically in Bold, we teach the DDD2, and that's a great way for get rid of call bias. However, if you're baby stepping in, for example, people that you're rusty with, I'm going to have you identify them. In fact, why don't we just do this quick little exercise if you've never done it before? Write down someone you are rusty with that you wish you weren't rusty with. I don't need to know their last name. I just want someone to yell out a name.
Mike
Kelly.
Gordon.
Go ahead. Do it again. I didn't hear you.
Mike Gordon.
All right. I think that's the last name. Okay. First, you don't have to do that. I don't really care. Does everyone have someone they wish they were like back in flow with? And you just don't know how to do it. I'm going to give you, I don't think I've done it on this call. You might have heard it before. However, this is worth the money you paid for this call. Oh, that's kind of funny, right? So let me show you what I mean. Faye knows what this is. She's heard it. She's seen it before. I call it the WD-40 Touch. Now, this is about the only thing I can go to Home Depot and purchase that I know how to use. Almost everything else, except I can screw in a hose and turn it on. This is about the only tool I know how to use. I had a mechanical bypass at birth. My dad was handy. He could do anything. I don't have that gift. So here's the thing. If you spray a little WD-40 on something that's sticky, sooner or later, it will get loose. The WD-40 Touch is, and these are the three words I want you to write down, is a touch out of the blue. Now, I understand being awkward with someone. I just like to role play with Faye because she's got a great voice and she's sitting in a quiet spot. And so imagine, Faye, I haven't talked to you. I sold you a house back 4 years ago. I haven't talked to you, and I haven't sent you any pumpkin seeds or anything. So I call you, hey, Faye, how you doing? You know, I mean, Faye, you can go off mute. Faye, how you doing?
I'm good. Who's this?
Yeah, that's what you're going to get. Denny Grimes. Woo! So here's the thing. Now you don't know what to do. And then, obviously, this is what you don't want to do. Well, Faye, I haven't talked to you in 4 years. Let me just ask you a question. We're having this contest. Who can get the most referrals in the next 30 days? And I need 10 to win. Who do you know that wants to buy or sell, invest in real estate that can call the day? I mean, if you're on a game show, The Gong Show, anybody remember The Gong Show? You will be gonged at that. That doesn't even fit well. It makes no sense. However, imagine, so the name you wrote down, I trust you wrote down the name. Now, I want you to write something down interesting about them, something you remember, maybe your last experience. Maybe you know that they love, they have like a certain sports team. They're a graduate of Notre Dame. They raise pet turtles. I don't know. Write down something you remember about them or the experience. So just do that. And I'm going to stop sharing because I want you guys to share. I cannot emphasize enough the power in what we're about to do. So who would like to share what you wrote down next to the name? We don't need the name. What's special about them? I'm going to put it in chat. I can look at chat right now.
They just bought new construction, sold their home through me and bought new construction.
Okay, so all right, they want new construction. Okay, awesome. Give me another one. Get personal.
an agent that used to work for me who is a graduate of Notre Dame, and he loves all things Irish.
Now now out of the blue, I want you to think personal. And what you do, and this is the challenge, this is your challenge to do this. If you happen to know that, okay, so they like things Irish. So what you can do easily is you could go into Google on your phone and Google the Fighting Irish and take a little screenshot of that little guy and take a screenshot. And this is what you do. You send them a text and say, hey, Charlie, Denny here. I was going through my phone and I saw something from Notre Dame, and it made me think of you. So I took this screenshot and just sent it along to say, I was thinking of you. I trust you're doing well. How are things going? Now, there's no asking for business. What that is a squirt of WD-40. When Kristen and I, before COVID, we would go around and teach us, and among other things, this was the thing we talked about. At the beginning of the class, let's say at 10 o'clock, I'd have people do this. You could do it right now, and I tell you what will happen. So we've got about 40 minutes left. If you did this right now, texted some little thing like that to this person you've not talked to, I don't care if it's 10 years ago, most likely, many of you will hear back from them before this call is over. And they're going to say, oh my gosh, Denny, that's awesome. I can't even believe you remembered that. We're doing fine. Yeah, so how are you? Now, what has just happened? The gears are not shiny yet. However, now you've started a conversation out of coming from contribution. Case in point, let me just show you something here. And I did this. I got a couple of different examples to share. And I can tell you, people in class, there were tears sometimes. There was business that was generated. Because right now we have a lot of people that have a lot of uncertainty about the market. And again, this will help you in any relationship, buyer or seller. However, we're wanting to get into conversations with potential sellers because you're coming from contribution. Now is a good time for sellers. So I remember I was going to be in touch with, I wanted to be in touch with somebody I have not been in touch with a while. And I remember that she liked John Maxwell, or Simon Sinek. And so Kristen happened to be listening to a webinar or something on her walk. I happened to see her phone. And so that reminded me. So I basically took a screenshot and I sent it to him. I said, just wanted to let you know that I'm listening to John talk to Simon Sinek made me think of you, as I remembered you mentioning him during a conversation I was involved in. I trust all is well, and your vacation was awesome. Be safe. Now, how do you think I knew she was on vacation? Well, I went to her Facebook page just to see what was going on. Tons of crumbs and clues there. Within 4 minutes or 5 minutes, I get a text. Wow, I can't believe you remembered that. Another example. This is from an agent that that would be a good referral source for me that I had lost touch with. His name was Paul. And I was supposed to do a Zoom in their market center. So I went on his Facebook page and I saw that him and his wife have 2 golden retrievers. Well, this is our golden. I said, hey, Paul, Denny Grimes here. Now I use my last name because I'm not sure I'm in his phone. I'm going to be zooming into your meeting this morning. I trust I will see you. This is our golden named Tally, short for talent. I remember you're a dog lover as well. Take care. Sure enough, I heard right back from him here in a few minutes. When Kristen and I went to London in November, I had a good client, 3 transactions, $45,000 of commission was earned. However, during the last transaction, listing didn't sell. She wasn't listening to me. There was another real estate agent in that condo building that was always talking. I should have a listing. I should have a listing. So anyway, she got the listing. It didn't sell for the longest time and probably sold at the price I told her to be at anyway. However, it put a wedge between us. That wedge existed for 3 years. And so I decided to put an end to it. And however, I was awkward. I had a perfect opportunity. Her and her husband were from London. So what I did when we got to London, I texted her out of the blue, Dorothy, this is my first trip to London. I wanted to reach out to you and say, I remember all the conversations you and Reg, your husband, had about being in London. Made me think of you. I just wanted to say hello. I bet you probably, at least for the next 7 days in London, we have 20 or 25 texts. Our gears are basically shiny again. Now, do you see how something like that, these things have been gnawing at you because you don't know how to get back into the relationship. Once you're back into the relationship, now you can start talking about business. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any ahas about that? Because it's totally amazing. If Don Aldridge was on the call, he's part of the KCN network. He took this class, took it literally, and he does this kind of on a regular basis. I think these things are better than thank you notes. Instead of writing 5 thank you notes a day for Tommy Hopkins, you whippersnappers are too young, would have to Google him. Do 5 WD-40s, you'd be shocked. Any ahas on that, you guys? Any comments before we move forward?
Hi, Danny. This is Agni. I just want to share with you that I just sent a couple of texts to some friends who I haven't talked to for a couple of years. And I got both of them responded immediately.
You know, people love to have, it's like going to the mailbox and getting a handwritten note. Anyway, I challenge you to if you're going to do the DDD2, and if you're going to make calls to your database, and particularly if you have call bias, don't make the call if you don't want to. At least send them a WD-40 note. You'll be shocked what may happen. Any other comments on that before we move forward? Okay. Now, another thing we're doing. This is not a new idea. We're just tweaked it a little bit. In bold, Tony DeCello basically had a small 8.5 by 11, went door to door saying, "Hey, I've got buyers that want to buy a home." So again, how do we shake potential sellers or shadow sellers out of the tree? We've just started a Facebook ad campaign targeted to different areas with specific buyers that under a loyalty agreement. Has a twofold benefit. Number one, it help us get the loyalty agreement, part of our value proposition. The buyers are actually signing the loyalty agreement because we have all these things to offer. And by the way, we're not just looking for homes in the MLS that is already everybody knows about. We're going out and looking for shadow sellers. And these, you can make it up. I mean, you don't have to have a real buyer. From my point of view, I want to be coming from integrity, no judgment if you want to do it something different. This is a real buyer. We have a qualified buyer looking for three or four bedrooms over 2,300 square feet, South Fort Myers, 275, 325. I'll let you know how it works. I know our Facebook ads are doing really well. I know the Kristen Cole Network is doing Facebook ads for leads. One thing I've just learned, it's a longer nurture period. So if you're doing Facebook ads, a lot of them may not be ready to buy like in the next 10 minutes. So you got to be prepared to nurture, have a plan for that. The other thing we're doing, and I think I mentioned this on a prior call, is we're doing strategic placement of these Facebook ads in the markets that basically are feeding us. There's people that are in New York that would like to get down here. And that urban flight to suburbia is actually a good thing for our market, maybe your market, because the person leaving New York City is going to the suburbs. They're not moving to Florida. However, they may be freeing up a seller that's a boomer or whatever that wants to move to Florida or Arizona. So that's another idea we're doing. So there was a lot of people say, well, how do we handle this? So I'm kind of a little bit surprised that, and it won't be people on this call that have a hard time having a care and concern call. So somebody role play with me. You know, if you're in the middle of Candy Crush and you're on a good game on a roll, maybe you don't have to. Somebody like to role play with me, and let me just give you an example of a care and concern call, and one in which I might be able to then use this script. Okay? Anybody want to role play with me? Come on, you guys. Play.
I'll play.
Is that Faye again?
Yes, it is.
Man.
Is your buddy Matt not on here? Usually he wants to play.
I know. All right. Well, Faye, ring, ring. Hey, Faye, this is Denny. Do you have a quick minute or two?
Sure, Denny, what's up?
Well, you know, there's a lot going on right now, as you know, and you know the last couple of months have been kind of crazy. I'm just reaching out to see how you and Bill are doing.
You know, I really appreciate the call, and you know, we're doing really well. Bill is enjoying the start of his new career, and my garden is doing well, and I've got lots of great folks to coach, so I have no complaints.
Well, that's awesome. Well, really, there's two reasons for the call, Faye. Number one was to find out how you guys are doing. Secondly, I just want to let you know that there's an extreme shortage of inventory, and I wanted to ask you if you knew anyone who was considering selling. I mean, in spite of the C-19 environment, this may be the best time for them to sell. So who do you know that may be thinking now or in the next 6 to 12 months that might be wanting to sell their home?
Well, you know, we have a neighbor that's actually in the mortgage business who is now empty nesters, the couple. And they just mentioned the other day that they were thinking of downsizing.
So there you go. I mean, so in Bull, that's called kind of an open-faced sandwich. Basically, it's like, hey, I had 2 reasons for the call. How you doing? And just get into the script. This is like, I mean, it's not complicated. And if this were a longer call, we might be talking a little bit more about the care and concern. It's not like, how you doing? Oh, by the way, who do you know wants to sell? So that's it. That's all. And you know what? I have had no pushback using that. And I think that here's the thing. It's no different than what? It looks and sounds and walks like if you're calling around an open house or calling around the new listing, right? It's just getting a little bit more specific. So I think we have to double down on doing it. I think I had one more here. So this is another one that modified a script. If you were planning on selling in the next year or so, what would have to happen for you to consider selling sooner? So Faye, thank you for role playing, and rather than make sure somebody else role play. Lisa, come on, you can role play with me.
Okay, I'm in. Go ahead.
All right. So I know it gets loud in those tanning salons. So if it gets too loud, let me.
I was actually working. No problem. I was multitasking.
Okay, no worries. So here's the deal. Hey, Lisa, I just want to let's say you don't even, we're having a conversation. Hey, Lisa, if you were planning on selling the next year or so, I remember, I think one time we had talked about it, and you're not on the market now, are you?
No, I'm not.
So what would have to happen to have you consider selling sooner versus later?
I think I'd have to find a place that I would rather live before I would put it on the market.
So who wants to be, thank you so much for that, Lisa, don't go away. Who wants to be my favorite star, my favorite pupil that you get to actually go and pop the popcorn for our popcorn party, which we did in 5th grade? What would be my next response to that? Remember the formula, acknowledge, then isolate. I get that. Other than that, knowing where you would go, what would have to happen for you to take advantage of the market now? And by the way, you know that there's 7 reasons why a seller might be better off to sell now instead of later. Would you like to learn more about that?
Yes.
Or no, or whatever. What do you mean? So these are proactive scripts and conversations specifically looking for the shadow seller. Now, maybe it's a buyer. You could just reverse that and make that a buyer conversation. Let's see if this works. Did I show you this last week?
Yes.
I did?
I've seen it twice, local and on this.
I don't remember if I did it on the call.
You did. Yeah, you did.
Okay. Have anybody else? I won't waste your time on this. I think it was on the Thursday call that I did this. If I did a Thursday call, maybe I did. Anyway, I'll skip it then. So here's where we're going to role play. This is the first one because obviously you might be dealing with a lot of people that are thinking of selling and want to wait. So who would anyone like to be the celebrity and actually handle the role play following our formula? And I'll put the formula up there for you. Who would like to be the agent and I'll be the seller? Come on, this is your chance to be the celebrity, guys. Okay. Who would like to be the seller?
I'll be the seller.
Okay, and who is that?
I'll be your seller. I'm Judy.
Judy, hey, All right,
Hi.
Judy. So we're having a conversation, and let me ask you. So, and basically, this is what you're. What? Go ahead and just say that, and then I'll take over, and I'll just walk you down the formula.
We were thinking of selling, however, we don't think it's a good time to sell right now.
Okay, so here we go. There's a formula, so you guys can follow. Well, I understand. What's the isolating question? Anyone?
Other
Other-
than that, is there
Other
anything
than
else
that.
keeping you from selling right now?
Yeah. Other than that, is there any other reason why you wouldn't consider selling in today's market, Judy?
Well, I haven't identified another property.
Okay.
So I'm a little worried about COVID, but also I need to find somewhere else to go.
All right. All right, guys. You should know, you guys, the veterans on the call. Let's go over this again. Okay, so what's our response?
Other than that,
There you go. So I get that. There's the acknowledgement. So you said now you may not have the best time to sell. You don't really have a place to go, and you have some concern about COVID. Other than that, is there any other reason why you wouldn't consider selling now?
not really. I would just want to make sure that I get a good price for my home, obviously.
Now, does that realistic? She never mentioned price before. You see, by just hold the line, you guys, a little bit, because I know it's a role play. However, that response was very real. Now all of a sudden, price comes in. So now I'm wondering if there's anything left in the bottom of the peanut butter jar. So I get that. That makes all the sense in the world, Judy. So just to make sure I understand totally, you've given me 4 different factors. Is there anything else that would keep you from putting your home on the market today?
No, not really.
Well, then here's the same formula, guys. It's always better for them to give you more than one. I'll tell you why. Is there most likely more than one concern that they're feeling or worried about? Absolutely. And when they only give you one, I worry that there's something important they're not sharing with me. Maybe they've not thought about it, articulated it, talked about it as a couple. However, I always love it when there's more than one. Now, when it gets to be 21 or 22, I'm getting a little bit, cross-eyed on it. However, there was 4 of them here, right? So, Judy, let me ask you then, of those 4, wondering if it's a good time. You have nowhere to go right now. You haven't identified your next home. Obviously, we're still dealing with COVID, and getting the best price for your home. What one is probably right now the most important to you?
Getting the most money for my home.
Now, during the role plays, typically sellers like Judy have been playing nice. However, what could another response be? Because realistically, the seller could have more than one. In fact, the seller could respond, hey, they're all important, Dodo, or I wouldn't have given them to you. Then you want to go, I understand. Totally. That's why I wrote them down. So which one would you like me to address first? Now that's going to be another way of having them giving you the opportunity to find out what may be more important. So,
you need to put it in your calendar.
Somebody needs to mute themselves. I don't know if that's you, Judy, or not. So, so Judy, stay with me 1 second. Give me another one. Let's say you had 2. Price and what's the other one? Remember
Price and another. I don't have any background noise. I don't know who that is.
Okay.
I don't. So if that I would get a good price, and I just would like to prepare. Have time to prepare to move. I don't know. I can't think of a second one.
Okay, well, you basically you didn't have anywhere to go. You're COVID, and you didn't think the timing was good.
Right. So, I mean, I'm always open for a new place if it's better and the prices are good. As long as I can get, something else for me. So I don't have any other objections. It would just be that the timing would be good.
So awesome. So there's like 15 good questions you could ask right now. So I just want to open it up. This is us. We don't have a celebrity. This is us talking. Who wants to take it? Give me an idea of a great question right now. She's identified really two, and she's worried about price, getting the best price. And let's just assume for clarity, I mean, she doesn't really have anywhere to go yet. And so let's say those are the things that are on her mind the most. Who's got a question? There's no bad question, just great questions and good questions. Okay, who's got one? Come on, risk it, you guys.
Hey, Danny,
Yeah.
this is Don. I would say, gosh, I'm curious, obviously price is important to you. Price is important to everyone. What kind of price would you be looking for that would cause you to make a move? Any idea?
Okay, then you can answer that, Judy. Keep going.
Well, I mean, I paid $450 for this house. So, I mean, if there's, let's say $350, let's say the $350s. I paid $350 for this house. So obviously I've done some upgrades. I mean, I would probably need to know what my house is worth in your opinion, but I would, I'd like to walk away with my realtor fees paid and some cash in my pocket. So, I don't know, it's 400, 425. I think I would lean on you to give me that kind of information.
You want me to continue, Denny?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, Judy. As a real estate professional for 35 years, I do study the market every single day. And right now, obviously, we don't know you, me, we don't know what it's worth. But what I'm hearing you say, you're thinking that if the market were to give you a net somewhere between 400,000 and 425, it might be worth looking at. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, I would.
Great.
I'd be open to that.
Okay. And, we could determine that really in just about 15 minutes. And all we have to do really now is simply set a quick appointment and we could go over that. And you know what, Judy, if the market is not there for you, if it doesn't net you the number you want, I'll shake your hand and at least we both know what the market is and maybe we target something for the future. On the other hand, if today's buyers are driving the market up to a point where you could net 400 to 425, would you be thinking you may want to list the home with me so we can get you moved?
So let me ask you this. I mean, I like the things you're saying, but how much is your commission? What do you charge?
Well, I appreciate you asking that. Most of my sellers always ask me that, so you're right on track, Judy. Commissions are 100% negotiable, and I'll certainly make that one of the very first things we talk about. Whether the commission is 1% or 10%, it's all about how much money the market puts in your pocket, right?
You mean you would charge me as low as 1% for my commission rate with you?
I'm going to put interesting. Again, I'm just going to put my little 2 cents there. And again, there's more than one way to do this. The thing is, I have learned it's best to set the appointment, which you were doing, and the fewer words you can do it, the better.
Right.
So, and for example, well, Judy, this may not be true for your team. Well, we have a flexible commission plan, and we'll be chatting about that when I come over. So I'm available at 3 or 5, which would be better.
Okay, I can. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I can see you at 3.
Okay. Here's the thing: when you have the pathway for the appointment, make the appointment and then zip it. Because when you have the door for the appointment, you've won the game. Now don't take victory from the jaws of defeat. Am I saying that right?
That's right. That's right.
So nice role play. Very good, Don. Any feedback on that? Who would like to also handle that? And there's more than one way to do it. Matt, you can unmute yourself. I see you're here. Ginger, Lisa, anybody else want to step up? Because her concern is price. Now, does it matter? Let's say that, all right, let's just change it. And I'll be the seller just for a second. Who wants to handle me? And I say, well, I want a net 425, and you happen to know that market that's unrealistic. Who would like to be the agent now? And what would you ask me?
I'll do it.
All right, Judy.
So Denny, you're telling me that you would want to net 425 for your home. Other than that, what you're thinking about netting for your home, is there any other reason that you would not be selling your home?
Okay, so I like you going to the isolation. It seemed like a double negative question. So I guess maybe what you're asking is, so if you were to net that, would you be prepared to list your home today?
Okay. Okay.
You-
So
you-
if you were
you
to
see the
net
difference
that-
in the question? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That's good. Okay. So if you were to net that, would you be prepared to list your home with me today?
Well, maybe not today, maybe this week.
Well, today's Monday, and so I have some time this week. Do you want to get together tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon?
Okay, now I'm an hour away.
Okay.
And so, all right, so now you set the appointment. Now, what do you want to know? What's the question you guys want to know right now before you go out there? You already know it's overpriced at 425 net.
May I ask you how you figured out that number? How did you come up with that number of 425? What are you basing that on?
That is a great question. However, let me just give you my blink and how I look at the chessboard. That wouldn't be my question. That's a sit down at the, that may be a question that I'd ask. There's one question I'd ask first, and it's always the leading issue in whether or not you're going to go on that appointment or not.
What's their motivation?
Boom. James, awesome. So James, how would you handle that? Now, Judy, your next question, your question may be good after motivation. What I want to find out now is, it's one thing to go with an unrealistic seller that's motivated, knowing that sooner or later they'll capitulate. It's another to go out there and they have, unless I get my number, I ain't moving nowhere. So James, how would you ask that question?
I think I would say, if you were to move, where would you be moving to, and how soon would you need to be there?
Right. So may I just add a little sprinkle, those little sprinkles that you get on cookies. When you, all right. So probably this is no different. So if you were to get that number, by the way, all right. So I'm just gonna stick with your question. Well, I guess I don't know. I don't necessarily know where I'm going next. I really would like to get something bigger.
Something bigger. So you'd be okay with staying in the same market?
Yeah, I'm going to stay in Fort Myers.
Perfect. Do you have an idea of how much bigger you're looking for your next home?
Okay. Well, I want a home office, so I need 4 bedrooms. I only have 3 bedrooms now, and I'd like to have a 3-car garage.
And how soon would you like to make that move?
I'm sorry?
How soon would you like to make that move?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of anytime now, because I don't know how long we're going to have to homeschool. I really need that extra room. So before school starts, or doesn't.
Oh, okay. So we're looking at, the next 30 to 60 days. We've got to get you start moving here. So I'd love to come by and talk to you about what we can do to get your home listed. And of course, whatever we list your home at, you're going to have one of 3 outcomes. So.
Okay, got it. All right, now. Okay, now you're trying to impress me, a little teacher's pet. Those are all great things. Would you not really do that at the appointment?
Yes, I'd probably save that for the appointment to go over the 3 things, because she's holding at 425, which we know is overpriced. So I'd have to let her know at that point when we're face to face, you're going to be dealing.
Yes, absolutely. And now, Judy.
Yes.
Now, you guys know, I know you guys, most of you guys on here, except for Matt, are too young to remember the TV show Columbo.
I got it.
And Columbo had, his stick was, just when the bad guy thought that he was going to get away, and and Columbo didn't ask the between the eyes question. Judy, I think your question would be awesome next. Okay, we got the appointment set. Hey, by the way, James, how did you come up with that 425?
The house down the street sold for just about the same price. So I think mine's worth that.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks very much. Now, okay, so that's called the Columbo approach. It's just a last minute thing. And so all those were great questions. And the way I would string them would be different than the way you would string them. However, probably the common thing I think you get away from this call is make the appointment and then figure out, if you got the appointment set, figure out their motivation, and then don't try to have your appointment on the phone, because you've won the game. This is when you go into the, what do they call that, victory formation in football? Take a knee. Don't be running a pass play when you got 30 seconds on the clock and you got the ball, because you can only lose.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
One more thing. James, you were going down the motivation path. Do you have any clarity on my level of motivation?
Yes, since you want to have extra space for homeschooling and school starting in 30 to 60 days, depending on where you are, you need to get moved if you're going to be able to set up a classroom. So yeah, you have motivation.
Yes. However, so I'm just gonna drill on you. Use the word need. Did I?
No.
Oh, you didn't. You didn't use need, and I would actually ask a little bit more questions on that motivation. The question I would ask next is, so getting that bigger house, what's that going to do for you?
Well, I mean, it's going to take some stress off my wife.
Oh, okay. What kind of stress is she feeling right now?
All right. So now you're going to be digging for my emotional commitment, my emotional level of doing that. How's it going to make you feel, that type of thing? Who can deliver the 1 to 10 now? Now, I'm not saying you would do it. I'm just saying, do you know the 1 to 10 to find out what my level of motivation is? Anybody?
Denny, I mean, couldn't you say, Denny, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1, you don't care if you ever move, and 10, you absolutely have to be there in the next 90 days. Where would you place yourself?
Yes, that is the way it works. However, in this particular situation, you'd customize it on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 meaning you'll just stay in a 3-bedroom and you don't ever care if you'll never have the home office, or a 10 meaning you'd like to have your classroom and your office available to you right away. You see how you would tailor that to this particular situation. You asked the general one before you knew what their needs were, and you would say, so then James, I'm going to come back to you. So on that scale, 1 meaning you could just tough it out for another, like your kids will graduate in 4 years. You can tough it out for 4 years or 10. You would like to be in that 4-bedroom house in the next, before school starts. Where do you find yourself on that scale?
I'd say
Pardon me?
a 7.
Okay, now, all right, so Don, what's the next question? By the way, what does a 7 mean, you guys? You don't know what it means. I don't know what a 7 is. It's just greater than a 6. I don't know what a 6 is either. So Don, what's the next question?
Well, I appreciate that. So it's a 7. So what would make it a 10?
Yes, okay. What would it take to get you to a 10, James?
If we were just tripping all over each other once school started back, trying to run my home office and having my kids get their classes and trying to find quiet space for everyone, probably make it a 10. We've been coping okay up to now, but I don't know if we want to go through that for another whole school year.
Now, all right, so here it's the same formula over and over again. We have to unload all this. Okay, I got that. What else would have to happen to make it a 10? I'm waiting for one thing that a lot of buyers or potential buyers would say. There's generally more than one thing. What else would make it a 10 for you?
My wife just couldn't take it anymore.
Ah, I got it. Now, I want to handle that so bad. What else? You've got to get them to say, that's it. Got to get to the center of the Tootsie Roll Pop. What else besides that?
Well, the price has also got to be right. I mean, for me to make the move, I got to get what I want for this house and then be able to find a 4-bedroom that we can afford.
All right. Now he's getting into predictable territory. And what else? There's one more thing, you guys. I'm sure there's one more thing that James would probably come up with if he were really in this situation. You got to know where you're going. The right house would have to come up.
We want to stay in where we are, so the same area, just a bigger house.
I got it. So let me ask you, if you could get the price you want, would you be prepared to start this process so your wife doesn't get to the point where she's over frustrated? And because you don't want that on her, do you?
No.
All right. So, I mean, normally you wouldn't go through all those steps once you close for the appointment. I'm just giving you different ways to handle that call if it went a different way. And if you close for the appointment, then take the appointment and then kind of shut up. So there's one more here that I think we have time for, unless you guys, if you have an objection you want to handle, we have about 9 minutes that we can handle. And I prefer it be a seller because we want to talk about getting sellers into the market now, and we really haven't talked and used any of the 7 reasons why. And for example, let's just say, okay, does anybody have anything that you would like to handle specifically that you're dealing with or may deal with, or maybe you dealt with it, you would like to learn how to handle differently? A
I have
seller?
a question.
Sure, Lisa.
So I have something similar going on with a potential client that we just went through the whole process. And as far as his motivation goes, he wants to get out of an HOA. And basically that's the only reason. He's like, look, I'm retired. I don't have to leave. You know, it would just be nice if I could find a place that's a little more relaxed without stringent HOAs, then I would do it. But he has to net something that's not realistic. So I'm at the point where obviously I will continue to communicate and keep it going, but at what point in time do you kind of cut the ties if they're not motivated by anything in particular except that?
Well, guys, what questions come to your mind? Because what my question is, Lisa, do you clearly understand his motivation?
Well, like I said, he just doesn't want to live in a really strict HOA. That's the only reason that I can get out of him.
All right. Well, anybody else?
Lisa, how much is he paying in HOAs at this time? And is there a CDD in that community?
Actually, he's not concerned about it financially. He just doesn't like all of the politics that go along with it and all of the rules and the potential fines. And he just wants to be in a organized neighborhood, but not where they police it so heavily. Make sense?
Okay. So
Yes.
any other questions that she should be asking?
Does he have equity in the home?
He does, but he's on a fixed income, as he tells me, because he is retired. And I haven't really pushed a lot of financial questions in that regard. Maybe I should. One thing I know I could have done better is I could have asked why he wanted to net what he said he needed to net. I didn't ask that.
All right. So Lisa, let's take 5 minutes of role play. Can you be this old grumpy person? You probably can.
Me? Sure.
I know you can do it. So, all right. So, Lisa, so you want to be in a less controlled environment, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And you said you want to net a certain amount. What is that amount?
I have to walk away with $425 in my pocket after everything.
And do you think that's realistic, or is that unrealistic in today's market?
Well, my neighbor's house is on the market and it's pending for the same amount, and so is the other neighbor on the street. They actually closed for $425. So why can't I get
those guys? Help me out. All right. So then, well, let me ask you, Lisa, why do you think he's significantly over the price if he has defendable comps?
Oh, well, this guy, he thinks he needs to net it, but he's not on the lake like these other 2 properties. So it's the exact same square footage, same house. There are 2 of them, one with a pool, one without a pool. My guy's got a pool,
Right,
but he's
so
not on the lake, and he
got
thinks he can get as much.
I got it. So I understand. And you said, well, those houses, do you think your house is worth more, the same because we have no pool and you're not on a lake, you don't have the same lot premium? Do you think you should get the same?
Yeah, I like that with a question mark. I was trying to figure out, how do I tell this guy he's crazy? He's not going to walk away with that kind of money. He doesn't even have a lake.
Stay with me. I'm not done yet. I'm going to make you lower your price. So get this. So here's the thing. So do you see that, Lisa? Do you think you should get the same thing because they don't have the same lot premium?
Yes, and I haven't seen the house, so I don't really, know he hasn't let me in the door yet. I've met him face to face, but I haven't been in it yet. I think because of the pandemic.
Lisa, role play.
Oh, I keep forgetting. Sorry.
So do you think the buyer's going to pay the same 3 years because you don't have a pool and you're not on a lake as they did the other homes?
Well, I mean, I just know what I need to get, and I'm sticking to my guns. I'm going to try to sell it. I don't have to move.
I understand that's a great position to be in, Lisa. So let me ask you, when you say need, how do you define, how do you come up with that number? The need.
Well, I have a mortgage and I am retired, so I don't have an income, and I know I need to take money to put it in another home, and that's what I feel like I need to have.
So if basically the market never gave you that number, are you prepared to stay in an environment you're not happy in?
Well, for now I am. I mean, if it gets really bad, then maybe I'll change my mind, but I'm not in any hurry.
I got that. And it's great you're not in a hurry. Let me ask you this. If you knew that today's market is as good as it's going to get, and then beyond this market, it's going to get worse, what would you do?
Well, sure, I'd put a sign up in my front yard.
I'm sorry?
I would go ahead and put a sign up in my front yard.
Your sign or my sign?
Well, this guy's doing FSBO, so I'll put up my sign. I'll do a for sale by owner and see how it goes, and if it doesn't work, I'll call you.
Well, all right. So now we're into for sale by owner call, and so I only have a couple of minutes here. So let me ask you this: would you be going for sale by owner to save money?
Yep.
And of course, I only have a minute here. So, how much money are you attempting to save?
Well, I know most agents ask 5 or 6%, so that's a lot of money to me.
Oh, sure, it's a lot of money. Yep. And let me ask you: if I had a buyer for your home, would you be willing to compensate my broker for bringing a buyer if you're for sale by owner?
Yeah, we could do that. We could talk and do a one-time contract.
Yeah. So, and you would pay me 3%, right?
Probably 2.5.
Okay. So then you're only attempting to save 2.5 or 3.5%, correct?
Yeah.
So would you, if we take the money equation out, would you be willing to work with me? If you knew you could net more money, or if I could save you money, you're not opposed to working the real estate. You just want to make more money, right?
Yeah, it's all about the dollar.
So what if I were to work for you for free? Would you let me list your home?
For free? How are you going to do that?
I'd like to come by and spend 15 minutes. Let me show you how I can be free. If you're not happy, no worries. At least I see your house, and if I have a buyer, I'm happy to show it. And then you get into your value proposition of why you are free. A good listing agent is free, and you break it down in all the different things: pricing, negotiation, appraisal, inspection. What's his time worth? Is he still want to be liable for the contract that he missed, that he didn't handle well? He's going to have to pay attorney something. It's the standard for sale by owner at that point. And you just sell your value proposition. And again, you raise an excellent question, Lisa, is that, and I'll just say this and we'll close it with ahas. If you have a seller with motivation, I don't care where their initial asking price is going to be or where their initial expectation happens to reside. Sooner or later, the market will catch them, or they will capitulate to the market with motivation. The worst seller in the world is somebody basically that has no motivation, doesn't have to sell, and they're going to be, gold earn it, they're going to be at an unrealistic number until the cows come home. I don't know if you win in that scenario. So I don't know where that guy is, Lisa. However, that'd be worth figuring out. And focus on his pain. So he's going to wait. Okay, you want to wait a year, 2, 3, 4. And if you could, and that, use the information we had in this call. There's 7 reasons why he should sell now. If he sells later, he may get less. How will that make him feel? So you guys have been awesome. Any ahas from today? Anything good? I appreciate you, James and Judy and Faye and even Matt. Did you pipe in?
Yeah, a couple times.
Awesome. Don, thank you. Any ahas? Come on, give me a couple ahas. What'd you learn? What was good? What was said? How can you benefit from this?
Denny, the aha I got was, no matter what they're saying, I've got to do a better job of, other than that, is there any other reason? Other than that, is there any other reason? You give me a few reasons. Of all those reasons, which one's most important to you? And again, just get them to a point where they say, no, that's it. Here's the list of 4, or here's the list of 17. You got to get them to a point where they just say, no, that's it. And then center on the big one. That's my aha.
Thanks, Don. Thank you. I got your message, Ginger. Thank you. Thanks for being on the call. Maybe I'll break out of my shyness and pop on next. All right, next week, Ginger everyone's gonna look at Ginger. She'll have her camera on so she can get her makeup done. Just be perfect. And anybody else, you guys, and I appreciate you being on the call. I love doing this. Your feedback's really, really important. Here's the thing. I do this every week, and many of you are on every week. I don't want it to be stale. I don't want it to be stale, although I don't mind the repetitiveness of it because we're following the same formula. And as Don just said, how many times you have to hear it before you say, yeah, that's how you mean by unload, get to the center, unload before unpack, isolate, get clarity. And then, it's all, I role play with my team 4 days a week, and I've been for three months now since COVID, or 3.5 months. And they're making great progress. However, they're not black belts yet. I want every one of you guys to be black belts. And I thank you for you pouring into me, because I learned when I do this. You're coming up with some things I didn't think about. You're giving me perspective. So I appreciate that. Thanks for being on a call. And as the words of one of the old time TV shows, Hill Street Blues, be careful out there. See ya.
Thanks, Danny.
Great job.
Thanks, Denny.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, Denny.